Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're having lunch with Laura. Today I am going to show you something that's in our annual catalog. I've used the stamp set before, but I'm going to show you something else to do with it. Here's a picture of the cards that I made, and the stamp set that I'm going to be using is called Pretty Florals. There we go. Okay, Pretty Florals. And there are no words in this, so it's only images, but it does come with a die set. All of the flowers here are small, and you've got all the small ones here, but you also have the ability to make some larger flowers, and the leaf, the stem, and let me show you what these look like when they're all cut out. So here are all the smaller ones up here, and then you have the larger image. You have a real pretty flower there, and then you can overlay this one on top of here, and then you've got some extra leaves and some little die cuts that go on top of these. So let me show you what I did. We are not going to be using the dies from the bundle today. I'm going to set that aside because all we're going to be doing is using the Pretty Floral stamp set. It's a photopolymer stamp set that's $19 if you just buy the stamp set. And if you can see on here, we are going to use every one of the stamps. Now this is what I came up with. Stamping the stems and leaves all in the same color, and I'm going to be stamping that first. I found it was easier to stamp the leaves and then put the flower on top, and you got it almost perfect. This one, I see how I messed up just a little bit there. I'm going to show you how to fix that. And so you can either do this landscape or portrait, either one. Then I also decorated the put the butterfly on the envelope, and the butterfly comes from the Coneflower Celebration set. I'm going to be doing in the next week or so, I'm going to be demonstrating this, so stay tuned because it is really fun. You're going to be excited about this. And the favorite saying is one that was done just for me. It says, "Happy belated birthday." I am always late with my birthday cards, and I've just come to accept it, so I hope the receivers do too. Now you can see how I colored this in. I've got my envelope upside down, but see how it's on the inside? It bleeds through. So if you want to, I'm not going to show you how to do this today. I'm just going to explain what you would do to keep it from bleeding through to the other side. So you would take a piece of paper that's going to cover your image and slide it down in your envelope, and you can kind of hold it up to the light to make sure that it's in the right place. Then you can color this with blends, pull this out, and you have a beautiful little butterfly there. I'm going to put my cards right up here. Now, I know you're going to think I'm crazy because I'm not, this is not straight yet. There we go. Okay. My puppy seems to want to play with it, and so every day that I use it, I'm having to get it rearranged again. Now, I've got all my stamps and pads in a box. I am going to be doing this for a class next week, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to lay it out for them. If you are like me and like to make multiple cards of the same exact thing, this is the way to kind of keep it straight. It's real important that first of all, you're going to use a light color for the background stamp, and then for the detail stamp, you're going to go darker. So let me show you what colors and everything we're using. The butterfly and the sentiment, happy belated birthday, are stamped in our new Secret C. Then what I did was I put everything, all the stamps that were going to go together in the same spot. So for instance, I'm going to take, we're going to be using the blue first. So I am going to put, now the solid image is the one that, there, that's better, that it's just solid. And duh, that makes sense. And then the detailed one is going to go for the dark. The two colors I'm using are Balmy Blue for the light, Azure Afternoon for the dark one. And I'm even putting a 1 and a 2 so that I know I do 1 first and then 2. So I'm going to shove that back. Then next we used Lemon Lolly, and I'm going to put the solid one on that one and the detailed one on Daffodil Delight. So all I did was just go to where my stamps are, and I kind of picked a light one, and then I found the closest thing to it that would show. Some of them I didn't like, so I had to change that up in practice a little bit. Okay, next we've got our oranges. I have Peach Pie, which I don't know why, but I don't use that very often, but we're going to use it today, and I'll show you how pretty it is. The darker one will be the Timid Tiger. And then for the pink, which I love, let me get these out of here and I can get this box out of the way. Okay. We have Pretty in Pink and Strawberry Slush for the detail. Now, I'm going to put these up here. And I've got them all numbered 1, 2. And I'll tell you what you need to create this card. You're going to use, now I had thick cardstock, so I'm using it for this project. You can use, the regular Whisper Basic White if you want to. So this is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then you're going to have the background, which I kind of felt like made it stand out a little bit. So that's going to go next. And then you have your, this one is at 5 by 4 by 5 1/4, sorry about that. And then this one is 3 3/4 by 5. So this is the one we're going to be working with. And I'm going to use one of these sheets that I've run off with all my, listen, this I do for just about all of my cards, 99% of them. I go to a website called Tams. These are my stamps, and you can look me up, and it will show you a picture of the card, and then it'll give you all the details, the supplies that you're going to need, and then the recipe of how to make it. So I'm going to use this because I forgot to put down a sheet. And I didn't tell you that I'm using our old standby Old Olive for the stems. So now the one thing that I did not think about when I was doing this. See how my flowers kind of seem like they're floating? They're not anchored down. So this time, I don't know why I'm not getting a bigger view. Okay. This time when I stamp, I'm going to stamp off just a little bit so that it doesn't look like they're all just floating in the air. And I ended up doing my stamping of the leaves and stems. Remember, I did that first. And I'm going to do this one, let's see. Let's do portrait. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up with Old Olive, and okay, and then I'm going to do the two single ones. Now one's here. I should have put it up just a tad higher, but that's okay. And then the other one, in fact, I'm going to stamp this one first because I kind of want to hide the stem. So that it'll be behind the flower there a little bit. Okay, so we're through with our green. Next, I have my balmy blue and my azure afternoon. Now, remember, this does not have to be exactly like mine. You can pick one color, which would be a whole lot easier than what I did. But, you know, I say this almost every time we're together. I am all about color. Neutrals do nothing for me. Black and white, I don't dress that way and I don't stamp that way. Okay, so I'm taking my solid image. Now, it has the three little areas where your flower is going to sit. And what I do to get it right in there is I figure out where I'm going to set it, and then I come down just a wee bit. Let's see how I did. Yeah, that's pretty good. That one kind of got up a little bit, but you see what I'm talking about there. Next, I'm going to take the detailed one in the azure, and as many times I've stamped this, these are not supposed to fit exactly, so don't frustrate yourself with trying to do that. I just kind of picked a spot and got it as close as possible. So now you can see the detail. Okay, close these up. Of course, if I was going to go ahead and be stamping the rest of them right now, I like to do things, oops, there's the tag. I like to do things in assembly line. So if I was doing 6 cards, I would stamp all of the stems on all 6 cards. Then you're through with that. Then I would get my light and dark blue, stamp all 6, and you're through. And on until you get to where you want the, until you're through with your card. But like I said, you can use all the same color. It would be beautiful. You could pick 2 colors. Okay, next we're going to do this kind of daisy flower. I'm not sure what these are, but the daisy flower is actually, if I'm not mistaken, it is a cone flower. I'll have to look that up and let y'all know. Okay, so here we go. And they're going to overlap a little bit, and that's okay. It kind of looks like the flower is behind. I see my tags aren't doing well when I flip this over. Okay, here's the detailed one on the daisy. So I used Lemon Lolly and Daffodil Delight. I thought that our new color Darling Duckling would work, but it turns out darker. I didn't realize how much darker it was than this color, so I didn't use that. All right, next is for this big one that's going to stand up. This is kind of like, let me see if I can think of the name of the card. I mean the flower. Well, I'll have to think on that. Okay, next I'm going to go to the next tall stem. And then the darker one. And remember, if you're off a little bit, don't fret about it, because remember, it's a handmade card. It's not going to be perfect. Every card you do is going to be a little different. Okay. Then last but not least, we have our oranges, which are the peach pie. Yum, yum. I made a peach cobbler. That was my Mama's recipe a couple weeks ago. Had some girls over to play cards. We did Pekino, and I made a peach cobbler that was to die for. And you can see through and make sure that it was stamped well. I had a little line there, was the reason I redid it. Okay. And again, I'm going to go down just a tad. I mean, just a very fraction. Okay? And see how that's cupped by the leaves? And last but not least, we're using Timid Tiger. That is another one of our, where did that one go? Oh, here it is. It was stuck on the wrong block. Okay, this is Timid Tiger. This is another one of our new in colors, and it is so cool. It's going to be great for Halloween. Okay, so now we're done with that, and we just need to do our stamping, our sentiment stamping. So let me close this up, get all my blocks out of the way. If I don't do that every time I stamp, you can bet that I'm going to get my finger in something and on the card, so always try to keep things closed up and put away. It also helps save your inks from drying out. And if you don't have some baby wipes or something to wipe your hands on, that's a good idea to keep very close. Okay, now let's do our sentiment. And I can move this for now. Okay, now I made this, I call it a centering mat, and all I did was take a piece of our grid paper and cut it to fit so that I could put cards that go landscape, and what I did was I came down the middle, and then I made this 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I also did one for the portrait size. It just visually keeps me where I want to be. Now when I'm stamping this one, I want it to be right up here. So I'm not going to go all the way to the top. I'm going to go right about here, come down just a bit, so that I can stamp right here. and right in the center of my card. So let's see how good I do. Okay, and like I said, this stamp was made for me. Happy belated birthday. And you can see where I am placing it. You're going to see my head for a second. Okay, came out great. Now, I'm going to be using this in just a second, so let me leave that open, just breaking my rule. We'll get this all together, and then I'm going to stamp some on the inside. So we've got our card that opens correctly, and I'm going to take my seal and now if you're having trouble with this, which we all have trouble every now and then, try putting your finger right there on the rough part and standing it up to get it started. Sometimes that will work. And if you can get just a little going, then it behaves. So this is cut so that I have an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And again, an 1/8 of an inch for this part. Isn't that pretty? Now, one thing I don't want to forget are the brass butterflies. If y'all haven't gotten any of these, they're still in the catalog, and I just love them. I use my Take Your Pick tool to push them off the page. So I'm going to get a large one. I'm going to put it right there on that flower. Flipped over on me. And then I'm going to do a couple little ones. I'm going to do a little one up here. He's just buzzing around. And maybe another little one over here on this flower. So now you've got just a little bit of bling. So for the inside of the card, let me get a piece. Well, actually, what am I doing? You don't need a white piece on the inside, dummy. Okay. I found this other cinnamon that comes in that group with the cornflowers, and it says, I love that I've known you for so many birthdays. I'm going to get out my centering mat again. Now this time, I'm going to put it right there. Now these corners were from a punch we had years and years ago, a whale tail if you remember those. But I put it here just to kind of hold it. And again, my eyes are going to follow this line and this line. And if you don't want to put it right in the middle, you can go up or down, but it helps you keep the stamp straight. Okay, there we go. And last but not least, I have a butterfly that's in with the cone flower. It's a beautiful butterfly. And I'm going to, I just closed my ink pad. Take this away. I'm just going to put it down at the bottom. Now, I'm leaving this uncolored because remember, just like I showed you on the envelopes, that if you don't put something under it to protect it, it's going to bleed through. Well, since this is the back of your card, oh, I got ink there, you don't want to color this because it's going to show through. So there is your finished card, a cute envelope to go with it, and a way to use the two-step stamping technique to make your flowers pop a little bit more. And remember, I'm using the light color, the two matching colors, one light, one dark, and that is what you can do to use and make these two-step stampins pop out. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want, I will put some directions at the bottom of my YouTube, but you can always go to a site called These Are My Stamps and look me up, Laura Lee Collet, and you will find pictures and recipes of almost all my cards. So, if you need to get in touch with me, my website is stampinatthebirdnest.com. So, thanks for joining me today. It's been so much fun, and I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you enjoy watching. So if you did, please try to come back next week. I try to be here most Thursdays at 12 noon. That's Central Time because I'm in Baton Rouge. And I will look for you next week. Love you. Have a great weekend.